Every family has a story. Some stories are simple, filled with ordinary struggles and quiet victories. But the Bartlett-Fleming family's story is different. It is a story built on love, heartbreak, and the unshakable bond to the land they call home. For over 18 seasons, we've seen them rise, fall, and rise again. And as season 19 begins, their legacy is tested like never before. The Bartlett-Fleming family is the heart of Heartland. Their story has carried the show for nearly 2 decades, and in every chapter, they've shown us what it means to fight for one another while holding on to the land that raised them. At the center of it all is Amy Fleming. From a young girl discovering her rare gift with horses to the strong woman she is today, Amy has been the anchor for the next generation. She carries not only her late mother's dream, but also the weight of keeping Heartland alive. Her bond with the ranch isn't just about the horses, it's about the spirit of her family, the lessons they've passed down, and the love that has guided her through her darkest hours. Then there is Jack Bartlett, the family patriarch. For decades, Jack has been the backbone of Heartland. Strong, wise, and sometimes stubborn. He has lived through loss, hardship, and the passage of time, but his love for his family has never wavered. Jack represents the old roots of the ranch, the traditions and values that hold the family together even when the world outside changes. He is more than a grandfather. He is the protector of their legacy. Lou Fleming, on the other hand, is the bridge between the past and the future. She carries the same determination her mother once had, but she faces challenges that her family never imagined. Running the ranch, being a mother, and balancing her political role have pushed Lou into impossible situations. Yet, like every Bartlett-Fleming before her, she finds the strength to keep moving forward. Lou's journey reminds us that leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, even when it feels like the world is too heavy. And then there are the younger voices of the family, Katie and Lyndy. Though still growing, they represent hope and possibility. Katie struggles to find her independence, while Lyndy begins to understand what it means to be part of the family that shaped her mother. They are the future of Heartland, the ones who will inherit not just the land, but the challenges and responsibilities that come with it. What makes the Bartlett-Fleming family unforgettable is not their perfection, but their resilience. They have lost loved ones, faced betrayal, and endured moments where everything seemed broken. Yet, somehow, they always come back to one truth. Family is worth fighting for. As we step into season 19, the Bartlett-Fleming legacy is at a crossroads. Old wounds will resurface, new trials will test their bond, and the choices they make now will decide the future of Heartland Ranch. The question is no longer just about survival, it's about whether the next generation is ready to carry the weight of a name that has meant everything to so many. The Bartlett-Fleming legacy is more than a storyline. It's a reminder that families, no matter how scarred or divided, can find strength in love, in loyalty, and in the unbreakable ties that connect them. And this season, we will see just how much that legacy is worth when it is pushed to the edge. Some battles are fought in silence, not with words or with fists, but in the quiet spaces of the heart. For Amy Fleming, season 19 is not just another chapter in her story. It is a test of strength, identity, and the courage to keep moving when the past still lingers like a shadow. For years, Amy has been the soul of Heartland, the one who carried forward her mother's gift and gave countless horses a second chance at life. But as season 19 begins, the weight of expectation presses down harder than ever. She is no longer just the horse whisperer, she is a mother, a guide, and the unspoken leader of a family that depends on her steady hand. Every choice she makes now ripples beyond herself. It touches Lyndy, her daughter, it touches Jack, it touches Lou, and it touches the very land beneath her feet. Amy's challenges are not only about horses anymore, they are about balance. How does she continue to heal others while learning to heal herself? The memory of Ty's absence still hovers quietly in her life. She has learned to stand strong without him, but grief is a tricky thing. It does not leave, it only changes shape. In the stillness of the ranch, Amy must wrestle with that silence, deciding whether to keep her heart closed or risk opening it again to love, friendship, and possibility. At the same time, Heartland itself is changing. The world outside is faster, louder, and less forgiving. New methods, new technologies, and new people challenge the way Amy has always done things. She finds herself caught between tradition and innovation. Should she cling to the old ways, the ones that made Heartland what it is, or step into the unknown, risking failure but also growth? This tension will test her not just as a horse trainer, but as a woman carving her own path. And then there is Lyndy. Raising a child on a ranch is not easy. Raising a child while being the living legacy of an entire family, that is something few could bear. Lyndy is curious, bright, and full of questions about who she is and where she belongs. Every lesson Amy gives her is more than a lesson about horses. It is about life, resilience, and identity. The challenge for Amy is not only to protect her daughter, but to prepare her for the weight of the Heartland name. Amy's new struggles will not come in the form of villains or enemies, but in the form of choices. Do you fight to keep the past alive? Or do you let go and embrace the unknown future? Do you build walls around your heart to stay safe? Or do you take the risk of being hurt again? These are the questions season 19 will force her to answer. What makes Amy's journey so powerful is that it mirrors the struggles many of us face. The tension between duty and desire, the fear of letting go, the courage it takes to rebuild when life has already taken so much. Her story in this season is not about being perfect. It is about being human, flawed, determined, and brave in the face of uncertainty. Season 19 positions Amy at a crossroads. She can remain the guardian of Heartland's past, carrying the weight of old traditions and the grief of old wounds. Or she can step into something new, something untested, where her role as mother, trainer, and woman evolves into something greater. Whatever she chooses, one truth remains. Amy Fleming is no longer just the girl who whispered to horses. She is the woman who must whisper to her own soul and decide what kind of legacy she wants to leave behind. There comes a point in every life when strength is no longer measured by how much you can carry, but by how much you can let go. For Jack Bartlett, that moment is drawing closer with each passing season. He has been the steady hand, the anchor, the unshakable mountain of the Bartlett-Fleming family. But in season 19, the mountain begins to feel the weight of time. Jack's greatest challenge is not an enemy on the outside. It is the quiet truth that age has finally caught up with him. The man who once carried the ranch on his shoulders now finds his body slower, his breath heavier, his energy fading at moments when it's needed most. For a man like Jack, who has always defined himself by hard work, resilience, and the ability to endure, this is the most painful battle of all. To admit that he cannot do everything anymore feels like surrender. And Jack Bartlett has never been one to surrender, but his struggle goes deeper than just physical strength. Jack looks around the ranch and sees change everywhere. Amy, Lou, Katie, and Lyndy are carving their own paths, making decisions he might not always agree with. The traditions he once fought to protect are being reshaped by a younger generation who live in a world faster and louder than the one he grew up in. Jack must face a truth he has resisted his whole life. He cannot hold on to the past forever. This doesn't mean his role in the family is fading. Far from it. But it does mean he must find a new way to lead. Not by carrying all the weight himself, but by trusting others to take the reins. For a man who has lost so much, his parents, his first wife, and countless friends along the way, trusting others to hold what he loves most is perhaps the hardest task of all. Jack's struggle in season 19 will not just be about keeping the ranch alive, it will be about keeping himself alive in a different way. How do you remain the heart of a family when your hands are no longer as strong as they used to be? How do you protect the people you love when you cannot shield them from every storm? And most importantly, how do you make peace with the idea that one day the ranch and the family you fought to protect will continue without you?
Yet, this is what makes Jack's story so powerful. His battles remind us that true strength is not about being unbreakable. It's about being willing to bend, to pass the torch, and to trust that those you've raised will carry on the fire. Jack Bartlett's challenge is not just about age, it is about legacy. And this season, we will see him wrestle with the fear of being left behind, while also discovering the grace in stepping back. In the silence of Heartland's wide fields, Jack stands between two worlds, the past he has fought to preserve, and the future he must learn to embrace. And for the first time, the man who has always had the answers must ask himself the hardest question of all. How do you let go without losing who you are? There are burdens that can be seen, heavy boxes, long days, endless work. And then there are burdens that cannot be seen, the ones that sit quietly on your shoulders, whispering that no matter how much you give, it will never be enough. For Lou Fleming, this has always been the invisible weight she carries. In season 19, that weight grows heavier than ever before. Lou has always been the planner, the fixer, the one who organizes chaos and pushes forward when everyone else hesitates. Running Heartland's business, protecting her family's name, and serving as mayor of Hudson, Lou has learned how to smile while the world leans on her. But every time she takes on one more responsibility, another part of herself slips away. She is the woman who solves everyone's problems, but who solves hers? Her balancing act this season is more than just scheduling and leadership. It is about identity. Can she be both a strong leader and a present mother? Can she protect the ranch and her daughters without sacrificing her own happiness? And perhaps the hardest question of all, can she admit that she is tired without disappointing the people who look to her for strength? Lou's challenge in season 19 is that she is pulled in every direction at once. The ranch needs her business sense. The town needs her political voice. Katie needs her guidance. Lyndy looks up to her as a role model, and Amy, though independent, still needs her sister's steady hand. But where in this crowded space is Lou allowed to just be Lou? This struggle is not about failure. It is about humanity. Even the strongest leaders have limits, and Lou is beginning to feel hers. When she makes tough choices, she risks criticism from the community. When she sacrifices her own dreams, she wonders if anyone even notices. The audience will see that her greatest battle is not against rivals or politics, but against the silent belief that she must be perfect to be worthy. What makes Lou's story in this season stand out is that it's not just about keeping up appearances, it's about learning when to let go. For someone who has spent her life trying to prove herself, to her family, to the town, to herself, this is a terrifying lesson. But it is also the one thing that could free her. Lou's balancing act is not only the test of a leader, it is the test of a sister, a daughter, a mother, and above all, a woman who has forgotten that strength can also mean saying, I can't do this alone. And maybe, just maybe, this season will finally give Lou the space to realize that her worth is not measured by how many people she carries, but by the love and honesty she brings when she allows others to carry her too. Every great story eventually turns a page, and in Heartland, that page belongs to the next generation. Katie and Lyndy may be young, but in season 19, their presence becomes more than just background to their parents' struggles. They represent possibility. They represent the unshaped future of the Bartlett-Fleming family, a future that could either honor the past or redefine it entirely. Katie has always stood in the shadow of her family's expectations. She is Lou's daughter, Jack's granddaughter, and part of a dynasty where responsibility feels like destiny. But in season 19, Katie begins to push against the mold. She wants to find out who she is, not just who everyone thinks she should be. That search brings friction, mistakes, and moments of rebellion, but it also brings growth. The audience will see Katie standing at the edge of adulthood, caught between tradition and independence, asking herself whether she belongs at Heartland or if her path lies somewhere far beyond the ranch fences. Lyndy, on the other hand, is still a child, but she carries something powerful within her. She is Amy's daughter, and already the whispers of her own connection to horses are beginning to show. In her, we see echoes of Amy's youth, curiosity, empathy, and a natural bond with the world around her. But Lyndy's story is not meant to simply copy her mother's. Instead, her journey is about discovering what her gift means to her, and how she will use it in a world very different from the one Amy grew up in. What makes the presence of Katie and Lyndy so unique is that they are not burdened by the past in the same way Amy, Lou, or Jack are. They see Heartland with new eyes. For Katie, it can sometimes feel like a cage. For Lyndy, it feels like a playground of endless wonder. These two perspectives clash, but together, they remind us that every generation carries its own truth. In season 19, the younger generation is not just learning from the older one, they are challenging it. Katie questions the rules, Lyndy questions the silences. Their voices bring light into the darker corners of the ranch, forcing their family to see things they've been avoiding. And in doing so, they remind us that the future will not be a copy of the past. It will be something entirely new, shaped by their choices, their courage, and their mistakes. Katie and Lyndy are the spark of hope in a family wrestling with heavy burdens. Through them, we see that even as one chapter closes, another begins with energy and promise. They are proof that the Bartlett-Fleming story is not ending. It is evolving. And though the older generation may struggle with letting go, Katie and Lyndy remind us that the legacy of Heartland is not just about preserving traditions. It is about passing the torch, trusting the next hands to carry it, and believing that the fire will burn even brighter in the years to come. Every story of family is also a story of outsiders. Some come as friends, others as challengers, and some as storms that change the landscape forever. In season 19, the Bartlett-Fleming family will encounter new faces, and with them, new conflicts that could shake the foundation of Heartland itself. The ranch has always been more than a home. It is a symbol of tradition, of values carried through generations. But to outsiders, Heartland is opportunity. For some, it is land worth fighting for. For others, it is a chance to prove themselves in the shadow of a legendary family. And for a few, it is a place to test loyalties, to push old wounds wide open. These new characters will not simply step into the story. They will press against its fragile seams, forcing choices that could bind the family closer together or tear them apart. What makes the presence of outsiders so dangerous is not who they are, but what they represent. A new horse trainer may challenge Amy's methods, questioning the very gift she has built her life upon. A business partner or rival could put Lou's leadership under fire, reminding her that influence always comes with a cost. Even Jack, who has stood tall against every storm, may find that the toughest storms are not weathered by the land, but brought by people who do not share his values. And yet, not every new face will bring conflict. Some may bring healing, friendship, or even love. For characters like Amy, who stand at the edge of personal change, the arrival of someone new could open doors she never thought she'd walk through again. For Katie and Lyndy, these new connections could shape the way they see the world, offering lessons that the family itself cannot always provide. But the danger lies in choice. Who do you let in? Who do you trust? And what happens when the bonds of family are tested by the influence of someone who does not share its history, its pain, or its sacrifices? In a story like Heartland's, outsiders do not just arrive quietly. They become turning points, pushing characters to reveal parts of themselves they've kept hidden. Season 19's conflicts will not just come from within the Bartlett-Fleming family. They will come from the pressure of new relationships, new rivalries, and new questions about what it means to protect Heartland. These faces may arrive as friends, but even friends can bring challenges. They may appear as rivals, but even rivals can teach hard truths. The suspense lies in watching how the family chooses to face them, united or divided. Because in Heartland, every stranger who steps onto the ranch carries more than just their own story. They carry the possibility of changing the Bartlett-Fleming legacy forever.